Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Good morning, everybody. Just making sure everything is working before we go live in a minute. I hope you're all doing well. Good morning, Villain Bear. Good morning, Danny. Mags, Hidden, Kishan. I am back. Half back, should I say. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is the 8th of September. The 8th of September, 11 a.m. Central European Time, 9 a.m. at UTC. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. I have been away for a while. I think I had COVID, or I still think I've got COVID. So I've been a bit off the last few days. I did stream last Monday and then haven't streamed since. This is my first stream back after a week. I'm still trying to catch up on absolutely everything. And believe it or not, it isn't that easy trying to catch up when you're poorly. So we're going to start with the live stream today, and then we're going to see how the rest of the week goes. Now, there isn't a quiz listed here. As you see on the right-hand side of me, Morning Crypto, there's normally a thumbnail of a quiz for Wednesday. That hasn't happened yet because we haven't planned it. We have 3 quizzes in the next 3 weeks. Wolf Swap, Mew, Maple Finance, they're all coming up. But at the minute, we haven't planned or arranged everything because I don't know how well I'm going to be. So there's going to be quizzes this month. They just might not happen on Wednesday. And we also have a 4th quiz, which isn't one of those 3, that also has to be scheduled in. So the chances are the Wednesday quiz goes out the window and maybe new dates come in. Now, the Oracle's streaming on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. That doesn't give us many evenings to try and cram them in. So we're going to see what we can do. Maybe we'll get them done on Wednesday. Maybe we'll get them done on Friday, but we will see what we can do. Now, we have the Monday show is the one that gets your week off to a great start because it's the charts show. We're going to go through the charts at the beginning, have a look at the economic calendar. We're going to have a look at the DXY, Bitcoin dominance, the usual kind of stuff. We've then got a pretty good arrangement of articles, actually. How low is the bottom going to be if we go much lower? Have we triple bottomed on Ethereum, or are we going to go lower? We're going to have a little conversation about Justin Sun, our friend of the channel. We're then going to talk about the Stuttgart Stock Exchange. They've tokenized or allowed for the tokenization of assets, ADA or XRP, and then we're going to follow with some stablecoin news. That's pretty much it for the show. So there's no NFT, gaming, anything like that at the end. We're going to start off with the usual stuff at the start. We're going to talk about some X-Files and look at the prices. And of course, we have our bear in chat, who only ever makes an appearance when we're going sideways. Now, I don't know whether he thinks that he's helping the market by trying to push it down, but he is going to fail. Because if you're an OG, and I know there's a few OGs watching this morning, you'll know I've made a few videos. And it's difficult for me to not give away the alpha on here, because I tell the OGs what I really think. So a lot of the time I'll do an OG video and I will literally sit down in front of the camera and tell them what I think is going to happen. And the majority of the time, you know, we're accurate. I think we're more than 50% accurate. I'd say we're about 80-90% accurate. But I don't want to tell you what I tell the OGs because they subscribe to us on a different channel and they pay for that subscription. So they have to get some alpha out of me, really, don't they? So all I'll say is that one of the golden rules is that we wick down to the bull market support band, which was 107,500. And we did that. And we've done nothing but hold above that now for a few days. Now, I'm not saying we don't go any lower. I'm just saying if I have to follow my own rules, we've touched the bull market support band, Bitcoin should go higher. Okay? I don't make the rules. I find them in the charts and I tell you about them. You bounce off the bull market support band and you move up. That is exactly what Bitcoin has done. But what that also means, if Bitcoin goes up, it means your alts, maybe not your alts, maybe Tariq's alts, they're going to get wrecked. Good morning, Simon. Good morning, Villain Bear. Good morning, Alpha Doodle. No Chronos Pulse yesterday, no. I thought about doing it yesterday. Just give me 1 second to turn this on to silence. I thought about doing it yesterday. And I think the problem is with the Chronos Pulse, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent now, is that it's getting diminishing returns in terms of impact. And what I mean by that is people aren't watching it. Very simply put, people don't watch the Chronos Pulse. We get the same people watching it. Now, it might get... I'll let you into the numbers. So let's say we get 5,000 people watch the Chronos Pulse on a good day. You will see 100 to 300 people watch it to the end. Just as an idea, okay, as an example. Simon watches it. Yeah, okay, you're one of the 1 to 300. Now, the other problem is that the last... I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, instead of, say, 100 to 300 people watching it to the end, we're getting 10. Now, I'm happy to keep doing the Chronos Pulse if people watch it, and that's the point. If nobody watches it, I'm shouting in an empty room, and you're going to be one of the 10 that are watching it, which is great. But I think what's happened is that it's simply not getting any traction anymore. So I'm going to have a think about what I'm going to do with it because I'd like to keep doing it, but I'm not going to keep doing something if nobody watches it. It's like the YouTube videos. We haven't really made many YouTube videos in the last 4 or 5 weeks because nobody's watching them. Nobody's watching the videos. There's no retail here on YouTube. We're banging our heads against a brick wall. So the only places where we get traction are Binance Square, Binance Live, which is where we stream, of course. The regulars, you guys, which show up on another channel that I can't mention the name of because Binance aren't happy with us saying that word. And X. And the X videos, they go through waves and we're in the middle of summer, so they're not getting watched as much. So the long and short of it is we're only going to make content for people if people show up. And they did show up. They showed up, like I said, out of 5,000 people, we'd get 1 to 300 watching to the end, which isn't too bad. Like I said, last week and the week before we got 10. So nobody's watching them. So either they don't like me and they don't like my presentation, they don't like the content, which is fine, totally all right with that, or it's not being shown in the algorithm. So that's where we are. KB, good welcome back. Where did you go on your holiday? And don't say Skegness. Right, should we have a look at some numbers? Now I've given you a little breakdown into the life of a poor streamer. Bitcoin is coming in just under 112,000. Ethereum, 4,300. Look at that 7-day switcheroo. Bitcoin up almost 2%. Ethereum down nearly 4%. It's going to happen. We're going to look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I'm going to be right. For once, I'm going to be right. XRP, $2.90. Solana, still over 200. That has had a good week. Now, this is actually quite interesting because this was 7 days ago. So 7 days ago was the last time I streamed. So it's actually nice to see where we've moved in an entire week because a lot of things haven't really moved an awful lot. Tron had a massive dump 3 or 4 days ago, which I think coincided with what we're going to talk about today with Justin Sun. Cardano back at its happy place 80 cents. Hype is $51. Hype has moved. Hype has moved a lot, but it's still got a long way to go. Chainlink is at $22.50. That's not done too badly. Let's have a look at some gainers and losers before we move on. I've only got a couple of X files because the charts take so long. MYX Finance, never heard of it. Small market cap. It's done fantastically in the last 24 hours. Congratulations. Take some profits if you bought any. WorldCoin is trash. I'm not going to talk about that. Lots of meme coins pumping. Pudgy is up. SPX. Bonk is up. Doge. Any reasonable coins up. Hype is up. Pendle. There's a few gainers. Losers. We're going to talk about World Liberty Finance in a second as well, which is perfect. 20 cents. Right. There's not much down there. Kronos is down a bit, 26 cents. So we're going to talk about 2 of my tweets, because a Monday morning is not an easy show, because everybody goes on holiday on their Friday boat, yacht, off to the Hamptons, and nothing happens over the weekend. So I always include my own tweets on a Monday from now on, just so you all know that I get to talk about myself in the third person, which is what you want. When you've got ideas of grandeur, you just talk about yourself. You went to Portugal. You could have popped down to see us. We're not that far away. What are we, an 8-hour drive? Year-to-date on-chain activity. Now, again, I tell you all the time, listen to me. Look at the Bitcoin addresses and look at the year-to-date on the right-hand side. Look at what is red and look at what is green. When the green turns red, that is normally the sign that it's game over. Okay? Sell up, go on holiday, go to Portugal for 6, no, actually no, go to Portugal for 2.5 years and then come back for the next bull run. Paper hands tend to be the people holding what we hold. The diamond hands at this moment in time, and most of last year as well, they were holding 10 to 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin. They are on the march. Now, you will see the gap, and that gap will grow. The more we go sideways for the next 3 or 4 weeks, the more that red is going to grow, because people just don't hold their assets. They don't understand the cycle. Now, again, the big debate at the minute, which I'm going to talk about in a second when we get onto the Bitcoin dominance chart, cycle's not over. I don't care what people tell you about the top being in. We're going to have a chat about that in a minute. Fidelity, a $12 trillion asset manager, is now on ETH. They just launched Fidelity Digital Interest Token, FDIT. Yeah, that's what happens. You effed it. A tokenized treasury fund that already holds $203 million on chain. This instantly makes Fidelity one of the largest tokenized treasury products again. These are going to get really boring and repetitive. We will try not to include that many of them, but every day in the week, treasuries are going online. They're buying Bitcoin, they're buying Ethereum, they're buying stupid coins as well. We're seeing people have SUI and TON treasuries, which are incredibly high risk. Not a fan of them. And away we go. Now then, Syrup, especially Maple Finance, they are one of our... We're an ambassador. We're partnered with them. Now, let me have a very clear delineation of this. Syrup USD is not a stablecoin. It is a yield-bearing asset. Okay? We call it a yield-bearing stablecoin because that's easy for you guys to understand. But it's a yield-bearing asset, as I've written here. And it's just hit $1 billion. Which doesn't sound an awful lot to some of you. It was $200 million in May. So it's 5x'd. The value of Maple, the company, the revenue that it makes and everything else, is going up. And what isn't going up right now is the syrup token because it's at 45 to 50 cents. I'm not telling you that it's going to go up anymore because I can't give financial advice. But put it this way, everything to do with syrup and Maple Finance, everything to do with Maple Finance is going north. The token price isn't yet. And what do we always say on here? The token and the project, they're not the same thing. But in this instance, I think the token is lagging the project. And I'm not saying it's going to go to $10. You're going to see people telling you it's going to go to $1,100 million. It's not. It might go 70, 80 cents. Let's be realistic. So again, another massive milestone. Every month there is a milestone for Maple Finance, and they're not made up milestones. I don't make them up in my head. Oh, look, Maple Finance has hit $1.23 million. No, these are real milestones every month. And again, as I keep saying on the videos we make about Maple Finance, there will come a time when they plateau. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the project. They're expanding in an expanding market. Now, I don't know why it possibly wants me to promote that, but I'm not. World Liberty Financial thoughts. Now, this is a follow-up to what we said last week. And that is this. World Liberty Financial was going to do one of two things. It was going to absolutely rocket past $1, or it was going to come crashing down. It did go past $1. I think it went to $1.20. And then basically all the people who held the token, that got the token as airdrops, whatever it might be, they've all sold off. So we're going through a flush of World Liberty Financial. And this chart looks identical to the Pump.Fun chart. Now, Pump.Fun is an interesting one because I've sat on here and said it's an absolute trash token. And I do believe it's a trash token. But I do also believe that it's likely to start moving back up, which I said on one of the Oracle streams of the day. I think it will go somewhere towards 10 to 11 cents. Now, it got down to 15 cents and then it went back up to 24 cents and now it's back down to 20 cents. I think we're going to have an idea at the end of this week where the bottom is of World Liberty Financial. I even tweeted this on Binance Square, I think, the other day. There's no rush to get into these tokens. Anybody that tells you that you've missed the boat, fine. There'll be another boat coming along in the next couple of weeks. You're never going to miss everything, and you're never going to get on every boat. So if we go towards 10 or 11 cents, we are going to load up. If we miss this boat, I will not lose sleep. I missed Circle. I wanted to buy Circle at $25 to $30. Never got in with a sniff of that. So what I'm saying is, don't chase this. If you want to buy it at 20, 15, 10, 25 cents, buy it. Because let me explain how this token is going to go up in value. There are two coins. There is the stable coin and there is World Liberty Financial, which I currently don't hold any of. I don't hold any of it. I'm not shilling you a bag, just explaining how it's going to work. People are saying, experts are saying, that their stable coin, USD1, is likely to go north of 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 billion. That will generate about 5% return. Now, let's just say, for argument's sake, it goes to $10 billion. That will generate $500 million a year in interest from the Treasury, bonds, whatever it might be, gilts. That will then be used to buy back and remove WLFI tokens. So there is a buy pressure on this token, and it's passive. The same way that Dupe, they're buying $1, $2, $3, $4 million a week worth of Dupe off the open market, which over time is going to push the price up. The same with this. Now, imagine that it grows to $100 billion stablecoin. That's $5 billion worth of buy pressure on this token. Well, guess what? There's only $4.5 billion market cap. You do the math. That's all I'm saying. This orange man has got 3.5 years left to pump the backside off this token. And I have to literally concede that this is what's going to happen. So I'm a big fan of the token. Not necessarily a big fan of everything else. And I think I even made a video about this in which I said that everything we do, we try and base it on not facts, but is it a solid project? Does it have a solid roadmap? Does it make money? Does it make profit? All those kind of things. Like Maple Finance is a real business. I'm not going to fight against the President of America pumping his own bags for 3.5 years. You think I'm mad? Right then. This is what's coming up this week. Today, nothing. Optimism index on Tuesday, nope. Look at Wednesday. We have core PPI, PPI year over year, the usual ones. Thursday, we then have the CPI year over year, CPI. So Wednesday and Thursday is going to be the big day, the big days. Okay, they're the days that we want to keep an eye on. Expect volatility. Don't leverage those days. Don't short or long the market on those days. There are big bags of coins hanging around. Okay, be careful. I guess the internet wasn't super fast to Portugal. What exchange did it go above $1? Don't know. It's either Binance or Mexi. It wicked above $1. It went to $1.20. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I look at the chart. The chart wicked to $1.20. Then it came back down towards 40, 50 cents. And then we ended up at wherever we are now, 20 cents. It happened. It absolutely happened. Right then, we're not going to look at liquidation data. First thing we're going to do is very quickly look at the DXY. Again, I haven't looked at this for a week. I haven't looked at any of the charts that we're going to show you now for a week. So whatever it is here is here. The one advantage of these charts being slow on a Monday morning is the fact that I get to gulp massive amounts of coffee. Now, it looks like we have found support at this line here. I am sticking by my red line, which is this arrow here, which we're going to move along because it didn't happen that week. So we're going to move it along to here. Now, I know most people will laugh when you talk about the moving averages, the bull market support band, when you talk about the DXY. But you can clearly see that we are trapped below the DXY's bull market support band, and we've hit it 4 times now. At some point, we're going to break. And when we break, we are going to go up here, which is 100. That's where I think we're going to go. You are hearing people telling you this is the worst performing dollar in the last, 4 years or something like that, or the worst start to a year for the DXY in 6 years, whatever it might be. I don't care. Trump has to break his eggs to make his omelette. Okay, that's all that matters. We're gonna move up. It's just a matter of when, not if. So let's not worry too much about that. What we really want to worry about is how badly are the alt bags going to get wrecked when this chart starts to move up. Bitcoin dominance is going to move back up. Lots of people are telling you that it's topped and we're coming back down. Maybe this was the top. Maybe that is the top. And maybe we're not going to get anywhere near it ever again, potentially ever again. But this kind of direction here is where I see us going. Now, in the last week, Bitcoin has gained 2% and Ethereum has lost 4%. And we are starting to see what looks like a nice little curve up. And I think the next kind of area that we want to be looking at is there. 61.5%. That's where I think we could go to next. Not saying we're going to break it. What could happen is we do this towards the end of September. Maybe we even go up here, and then we probably come back down. Okay? Very similar to what I've drawn above. So actually, we'll take that one off. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think we've bottomed on Bitcoin dominance. I think we're likely to see over the next few weeks Bitcoin dominance go up. And not necessarily because Bitcoin is going up to 150,000, 180,000, but I think that Ethereum got its all-time high and is starting to come down again. If you look at Ethereum, we were at 4,900. We're at 4,300. We're already down 15%. I'm not saying we can't rally back up, but we've had a slide on Ethereum. It's had its excitement. It's a bit tired now. Like the bear in chat, it's a bit tired, needs to go for a nap before it comes back out roaring. And if Ethereum goes back for a nap and Bitcoin carries on, then Bitcoin dominance is going to go up. Now, again, there's a lot of things you could read into this. You could say, okay, well, I'm going to sell my ETH and buy Bitcoin and then sit on it. Okay? Or you could just keep dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, dollar cost averaging into Ethereum, whatever else you're going to do, and not hedge your bets and just keep buying the tokens that you want to buy. It's only September. We're not near the middle to end of October where things start to rocket up. Just keep dollar cost averaging into the coins that you like. That is the simplest way to do this. I could be completely wrong. And this week, Bitcoin dominance could do this. And Ethereum could do this. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I think. But if you're holding big, heavy assets and you dollar cost average into them, just keep doing it. Simple rule. If you want to flip your Ethereum to Bitcoin for a few weeks because Bitcoin dominance is likely to go up, Ethereum's going to drop off, do that. We've said here, maybe the bottom for Ethereum could be back in 3,004, 3,006, 3,008, something like that. We're still at 4,300, so we've still got 10, 15, 20% drops to go if that happens. Bitcoin dominance, if the Bitcoin price does this and moves ever so slightly, and Ethereum does this, then Bitcoin dominance is going to do this, because Bitcoin isn't moving down, it's moving up a little bit and slightly to the right. And of course, that will then just push Bitcoin dominance up, because I don't see the alts running against Bitcoin in September. It's never happened. Alts aren't going to run. Suddenly, we're not going to be looking at a $500 Litecoin. That ain't going to be happening until the end of the bull run. So if the alts don't run and Ethereum starts to drop and Bitcoin, all Bitcoin has to do is hold its ground, then Bitcoin dominance goes up because it becomes a larger share of the pie. Now, the next thing to then keep an eye on is this, which of course is the total market cap. Not total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, the total market cap. Now, we absolutely topped out. And as you can see from the line that I drew last week, I drew this line saying we're going to come down, we're going to bottom here, and then we're going to move back up. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We've come down, we've wicked to this line here, 3.63 trillion, and now we're moving back up. So where could we go next if we move back up? 4 trillion. 5% from where we are now. Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe it does. Who knows? I can only tell you what the charts tell me. We seem to have come back down, and we have again got a nice little curve. Maybe CPI comes in cool. Not sure. Don't know. Haven't looked into it yet. But maybe Bitcoin rips. Bitcoin rips. This chart goes up. If Bitcoin goes back to 120,000, 119,000, something around that figure, then we're going to clearly move up on this chart, because that's going to add 100 billion to this number, which puts us at 3.91. And this here is 3.99. It's not a million miles away. In fact, 3.91 is probably, if I'm going to be really pedantic and say we're not going to go to that line, 3.91 is there. So if Bitcoin moves 5% and nothing else does, Bitcoin dominance goes up. But look, we will then go to that line, which is where we were over here. So there's lots of things we can look at. But where I can't fathom is the depression in the markets. The markets seem really unhappy Let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart before we move on. This is the last one. Then we're going to get into some news. Good morning, Bullish Bull. Good morning, Kishan. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin dominance has to come down for the alts to absolutely run. Now, again, let's very quickly look at the chart that I drew weeks ago. We've got our channel. Now, I don't think there's any trading book in the world that's going to show you this channel. Probably because it's not a channel. It's just lines that I've drawn on the screen. But bear with me, because my lines make sense. Again, we told you up here. We told you up here that this wasn't going to last. We told you down here that this was very unlikely to last. And what we've done is we've come back into the channel that we were in since, when was this? Middle of July. No. Kind of middle of July. So we are where we are. Now, what does this mean? Okay. First of all, we've got to bear in mind recency bias. And this sums up recency bias absolutely brilliantly. At this point up here, and we've said this plenty of times, Tariq was ordering 12 Teslas. And last week, he cancelled 6 of those Teslas. Okay? And that's the recency bias that people have without... and it's so cliche when you hear people say, zoom out. It's so cliche. I know that. Grass is always greener, all that kind of nonsense. But if you do zoom out and you look at where we've come from, we are higher than at any point outside of 2025. We are sitting at $112,000 for Bitcoin. Now, if you're feeling fuddish, if you're feeling down about all of this, ask yourself the question, why? Why are you so down about this? Is it because somebody's filled your head with the fact we're going to $1 million, $500,000, $300,000? Or is it the fact that you see this move down and think it's over? Which is, well, I've written that on the chart. It's not over. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to move my line across. Because if I do that just a little bit, I look even better than I already did. So I'm going to cheat, and next week you're going to completely forget that I did that. So we've bounced off the bull market support band. If you go back, and we haven't got time to do any of this, if you go back and have a look at what happened, we didn't bounce off the bull market support band there, and then we spent a long time down here. I'm going to say that there is as close to bouncing off the bull market support band as you want to get. Okay? Now, we can go further down. Bounced off the bull market support band. What did we do? We moved up. So, it's not in my head. Okay? It's not in my head. It's in the charts. You touch the bull market support band and you move up. And it doesn't mean we go to the moon and $500,000 like Willy Woo has told you. Okay? You're not getting your $500,000 yet. I said last week we could come to this line, which is about 114,000. That's like the midpoint of this range. The top of this range is currently about 118,000. So again, I'm not telling you what's going to happen. I'm giving you my opinion on what normally happens in these situations. That is, we move up. Now, what could happen this week is CPI comes in and we do this. And CPI absolutely is 0.3% lower than we think. And then we're going to come up here. Now, when we're at 118,000, okay, it's not all over, but guess what? It's also not, we are so rich, we're just at the top of the range. We're just at the top of the range. The range that we are in and have been in and will be in until this happens in the middle of October, where we go to the moon and I wear my sell hat for Tariq so he knows what I know, and then there we go. Now, all of that is the positive news. But now we're going to read some information on how low, if we do come down, and let's say CPI data comes in 0.5% up, which isn't going to happen. How low could we go? I think that was a song. Indeed. Good morning, Shavan Chowdhury. I hope you are well. I hope you're well. Simon is right. We always get lurkers. I call them lurkers. And we get them on the Oracle stream even more. And I don't know why. And it doesn't bother me. Like I said, at this moment in time, it's like we're mid-table in Division 2. We're mid-table, and there's 6 games to go, and we're not going to get relegated, and we're not going to get to the playoffs. So these are what are called dead rubbers, right? We have to turn up, we have to keep our head above water, and we have to keep our eye on the charts. Because between us, you and I, there's nobody else here. The banks are here, traditional finance is here, the men in suits, the money men are here, the projects are here, and we're here. Retail are gone. 97.8% of the population don't care about crypto. We're all that's left, okay? This is it, okay? You want to know what the trenches are? These are the trenches, okay? The trenches were at 15 and 20,000. Yes, the trenches were also at 40,000 and 60,000 and 80,000. The trenches are now at 110,000. Just because the number is high doesn't mean you're not in the trenches. And then when you start to get your messages from your aunt, your uncle, your gran, your nephew, your old school teacher, your Facebook messages, your Instagram messages, what's this I hear about Bitcoin? Then you know we're back. I was getting them at 124,000. And I said in chat, and I joked with KB, that's a top signal. And guess what? We came down. The second you start getting questioned by your friends and family on crypto, that's a top signal. Now, the other thing I made a video about was security. I made that about 6 months ago. I made a video about how you need to start preparing for not telling people about crypto. Okay? It's important because you'll get kidnapped. It goes on at Hatchet, what they called Hatchet something or others, where they basically steal you in the back of a car and try and get your crypto off you. It's going mad in Paris at this moment in time. It'll start to happen everywhere else. Don't tell anybody how much crypto you've got. Don't tell them. And if anybody asks you how much you've made out of crypto, tell them that you got rugged. Tell them that you've lost everything. Tell them your wallet got drained. Never tell anybody how much you've got, ever, okay? It's really important that, because you are a sitting duck. If somebody's going to break into your garage and steal a $10,000 car, and then they think, well, hang on, let's not get the $10,000 car. Let's get, who's in chat that I can pick on? Villain Bear, okay? Villain Bear in chat. So let's say Villain Bear holds 1 Bitcoin worth $110,000. Why take the car worth $10,000 when we can take Villain Bear and get his 1 Bitcoin off him for $110,000? You might think that this is funny. This is not funny. This is deadly serious. You have to be prepared. You have to tell people that you do not own crypto or you've lost it. Don't tell your family. If anybody asks and says, oh, Uncle Dave told me that you're really good at crypto, your reply should be, I tried that, I got absolutely wrecked. Because I tell you what, Uncle Dave is in the pub telling people that you're a crypto millionaire. And those people in that pub have got ears and they can hear, and then you're going to disappear in the back of a van, and then it just happens. So, be careful. So how low could Bitcoin fall? And maybe Bitcoin falls so low that Villain Bear won't be kidnapped. So there is a silver lining to Bitcoin crashing to $25,000. According to Bloomberg's top strategist, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for these people. These people make me laugh. They really do. If Cathie Wood came out and said something, I'd listen. As markets edge towards the final stretch of 2025, Bloomberg intelligence strategist Mike McGlone believes investors are looking at a stark divide between trad safe havens and digital risks assets. Did I actually say trad then? I can't believe I said that. God, next thing we're starting wearing a baseball cap and those stupid earmuffs. Instead of framing Bitcoin as digital gold, the cryptocurrency has increasingly behaved like a high beta stock. Its movements, he said, now mirror the S&P 500 more closely than ever before. This is true, absolutely. But might become vulnerable if equities falter. For Bitcoin to remain near current highs, the stock market would need to keep climbing, a scenario he does not expect. Now, this is the setup for the bear market next year. The S&P is at what, all-time highs? It's the midterms next year. And as far as I'm aware, every midterm, the markets crash. So if we are now saying that the S&P and Bitcoin are more closely correlated than Bitcoin and gold, Bitcoin's going to come down. And that could be the bear market, the start of the bear market next year. According to McGlone, Bitcoin surging to 100,000 was not a sustainable milestone. But rather the final stretch of a speculative bubble in the event of a broader downturn. He believes cryptocurrencies could tumble as low as $10,000. $10,000. He thinks Bitcoin is going to $10,000. He also pointed to the dilution of Bitcoin's uniqueness. In 2009, it's only cryptocurrency. Okay. Mike, if you're watching, okay, there is an expression that we have for idiots, okay, and gullible people, and it's called, have you just got off the boat? Okay, now, I don't care about the historical ramifications of that quote. It's a quote. It's a saying, right? Bitcoin's uniqueness in 2009, it was the only cryptocurrency. Now there's 21 million different tokens circulating. Well, I don't know whether he plucked 21 million out of the air because that's the total circulating supply of Bitcoin. So, Mike, unfortunately, you fail on this article pretty badly. Its role as a singular digital asset has been blurred, further undermining its long-term narrative. You absolute cretin. While his tone on Bitcoin was bleak, McClone's outlook for gold was the opposite. He projects it could go towards $4,000 per ounce, fueled by investor flight from equities and other speculative assets. He doesn't mince words about the months ahead. The final quarter of 2025, he says, is unlikely to be kind to risk assets. Stocks, cryptocurrencies, and speculative markets are all set to face headwinds. For those seeking stability, here goes gold. Okay, so I'm going to let you into a little secret. Okay, I don't believe a single word this man has said. I believe that Mike has longed gold. Okay, how do you know that a Bloomberg intelligence strategist is lying? Their mouths are moving or their fingers are typing. He could have done a number on Bitcoin in this article, but instead he's done the opposite. He's made himself look like an idiot. Bitcoin's dominance has been diluted. 4, 8, 12 years ago, Bitcoin dominance was at 90%. I get that. Yeah, I take my hat off. That is correct. We're never going to see 70, 75% on Bitcoin dominance ever again in the future of crypto. But for him to suggest there's 21 million crypto assets out there that compete with Bitcoin, he's got no idea. Using 21 million also makes me think that he's read a crib sheet on Bitcoin. You know, what do you put in tea? Milk. What do you do with this milk? What do cows drink? Milk. It's one of those things, isn't it? He's just seen the number 21 and decided to put it into his article. So he's an idiot. You don't believe stuff like this. $10,000 for Bitcoin. We didn't hit that even when we had the weight of the world on Bitcoin. We got down to $16,000, $17,000. So for this man to suggest, with all of the institutional buying that's come, that we're going to go to $10,000. No. Had he changed this article and called it 2 million different cryptocurrencies and says Bitcoin will go to $60,000, I'd be like, you know what? 40, 50, 60% corrections to the downside, $60,000. You know what? I'll give him that. Yeah, he's right. So again, this looks to me, from the outside, and I don't really have any skin in the game on this, this looks to me like a hit piece sponsored by Mr. Gold himself, doesn't it? I think this is a hit piece for gold. This is basically him trying to tell people that the biggest ripping asset of the last 15 years is suddenly, overnight, just going to stop, and you need to buy gold. So I think Peter, the P-boy, I think he's done a very good job. Now then, I don't know about this one either. I think he's a new kid. I think he's like, I'm going to be really, really bad now. You know when they get a commentator on the football or the soccer, and what happens is they give the microphone to this person who's never done the thing before, never done the commentary before, and they say, right, Man United won, Arsenal won, half-time, what do you think about the match? And they say, Michael Owen is a perfect example. They say, well, for Manchester United to win, they need to score one more goal than the other team. And for Manchester United to lose, they need to concede one more goal than the other team. But it's a game of two halves, 45 minutes either way, 11 versus 11. It's like that. It's like you've just picked random numbers out and you just put them into a... Where did 10,000 come from? Did he read an article from 2018? I still cover both sides of the argument. Villain Bears just said I cover the exaggerated articles. I do, absolutely. And I call them out as well. But I have to be genuine. I can't call out every top signal and then ignore the bottom signals. I have to criticise them equally. And then, why do I do these articles? Why do I cover them? Because you could be new to crypto. You might have no idea about the cycles, the 4-year cycle. You might have no idea about the halving. You might have no idea about who's in power, interest rates, all of those things that we cover all the time. You might have no idea. So when somebody says we're going to $10,000, do you remember that chart I showed you at the very beginning that showed the red for people that held less than 10 Bitcoin and the green for everybody that was holding more than 10, 100, 1,000 Bitcoin? Okay, that article there is to make that red area go bigger so the green area can go bigger. Flushing out retail, what's left of it, okay? My job here is to make you see how stupid most of these things are. That's trying to be my job. Now, I could quite easily sit here and say we're going to $500,000 for Bitcoin and $25,000 going for Ethereum. I could, and maybe we'd get a load more people watching us. But I don't want to do that because I want to be able to sleep at night. So I tell you my honest opinion. And that article was garbage. This one may be less garbage because Godfrey Benjamin has got a better name. Ethereum triple bottom confirmed. Here's what's next for the ETH price. And again, I don't agree with this, but I'm still going to read it. Ethereum confirmed a triple bottom pattern with resistance at 454. Haven't we just gone to 4,300? Stablecoin supply in Ethereum reached 172 billion. That is correct. Analyst Q4 price target between 5.8 and 6.2. Interesting. Because what's my price target? What's my price target for Ethereum? Is it 7 to 9,000 or is it 6 to 8,000? I can't remember what my price target is. But anyway, that's not far off. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think if you look, I'm trying to think of who's given price targets, sensible price targets. The only one who's given a sensible price target for Ethereum that I can think of is Ben Cowan. And I can't remember if he said 6,500 or 7,500 for Ethereum. One of those two. I think I've said 6 to 8,000. I think I've said 6 to 8,000. This is 6,200, 5,800. They're all kind of in the ballpark. The question is, though, why does everybody kind of get to the same price target for Ethereum, and why does everybody wildly disagree on Bitcoin? I think 150. Willy Woo thinks God knows what. Rich Dad Poor Dad thinks $11 trillion for Bitcoin. Kathy Wood says 300,000. Even CZ came out with a really outrageous price target. The Bitcoin price targets don't seem to be set in any kind of foundation, but Ethereum's do. I think that's a bullish thing for Ethereum. So the chart shows a triple bottom. The pattern formed late August, early September, with 3 separate bounces around 4230. So we're just above that now. Each time we have touched this level, it rebounded, suggesting that sellers were running out of momentum. Analysts explained that the critical line to watch was 454. I do agree with that. Y- I mean, it doesn't look like a triple bottom to me, but there we go. Who am I? I would say that we're in a channel on Ethereum. And the question is, and I haven't done this, maybe I'll do this for tomorrow. I'll get the Ethereum chart done. I think if we stay above $4,000 until the middle of October, I think we're going to go to $6,000 or $7,000, $8,000 easily. But we might need to come down to go up. And that's why we've got the 3.4, 3.6, 3.8-ish target. Because Bitcoin can tread sideways and then rocket. Absolutely. Ethereum can tread slowly down and then rocket. I don't know. I just think maybe we need to come down. We did have our pump up, nearly at $5,000, and then we've come back down again. The chart showed 3 bottoms marked with arrows, making the structure clear. Simple. Once resistance gave way, Ethereum could move quickly past sellers with no longer block advance. I'm going to let you a secret. Last week, I considered selling my Ethereum and sitting on the side. And I would have told you about it had I streamed, but I didn't sell it because I think I'm just going to sit for the next couple of months. But I nearly sold. And it was about 4.6, 4.7, something like that. I nearly sold thinking, well, if we're going to come down to 3.8, I'll just buy back in about 4. But I didn't sell. Now, I mean, there's a lot of bullish reasons for me to not sell, which I think is the key. Showed 8.8% of the supply is now on layer 2 solutions. We know that. We know all of these things. We don't need to read into any more of this. But let's look at some price targets. Others placed the price target higher, around 6.2. Arthur Hayes predicted it could reach $10,000. This is the same guy that bought and sold, isn't it? So again, I think he really showed his... I can't really say arse, but I'm going to say arse. He showed his arse during that recent pump. He sold, he bought back in higher, and then the price came down. He didn't have conviction. That's my opinion. He didn't have conviction, and he's playing with big numbers, and I'm not. He's talking about tens of thousands. I'm talking about tens. There's a big difference between me and him. And me selling at 4.5 and buying at 4.6, it's not really a lot of money. Him doing the same thing, I think, cost him $1.5 million. There's a big difference between us. But I do think we could go to $6,000, absolutely. And at $6,000, I'd be very happy. I have a 6-figure target in mind for my Ethereum bag. And if we go anywhere near $6,000, I've broken that. Clearly broken that. I nearly got there with 5. So I'm pretty happy with getting anywhere near that. So September, we're going to have a bad month. We always do. Then we're going to rip up. That's all you need to know. But don't listen to people who tell you that we're not going to come down. What happens when people say we're never going to come down? We always come down. We always come down. And then what happens when people tell you it's over? We always go up. So what should you do? You shouldn't listen to anybody. Not even me. I've been saying that we could come to $96,000. If you listen to other people in chat, I think the Oracle had 86,000 as his absolute bottom. I had 96,000. But the longer we don't do that, the longer we simply don't break. And 100 and 104,000, they're the numbers I've been mentioning for such a long time. 104,000 is my big support. As long as we hold that, you know, it's still a 20% correction from 124,000. I'll take that. I'll take that as the final correction. But if we don't have that as the final correction and we go from 124 to 96, a $28,000 correction on Bitcoin at this time of the cycle, I'd take that as well. But we're still going to go up. Nothing on the horizon tells me that we're going to see the end of the bull run. But we're not going to keep going up. On the counter argument, we're not going to be going up towards the end of next year if we get the recession and everything else. Now, I am honest. I try and be honest. I don't like him. I've never liked Justin Sun. I don't trust him. Okay. One of the most sickening things of 2024 was watching that man eat a banana. really, it put me off bananas for about, well, I've only just started eating bananas again. That's the truth of it. Okay. Now, so WLFI, the token launched. Justin Sun had a big bag of it. They froze his account. It's Godfrey again. Are we on Coin Republic? Have we done 2 Coin Republic articles on the trot? Because I try to avoid that. Let me just check. We have. Godfrey is on fire. Fortunately, Spazio Crypto is the next one up. Right then. World Liberty Financial froze Justin Sun's wallet after a governance vote. Allegations linked Sun to token selling and market pressure. Justin Sun has denied any wrongdoing and called the freeze unfair. His wallet was frozen. It locked 540 million and unlocked tokens and 2.4 billion locked tokens. The move followed claims that Sun used exchanges to sell tokens and drive down the price during the launch earlier this month. Again, the rumours are not the same as the facts. And in this instance, Justin Sun is perfectly entitled to sell his 540 million tokens, in my opinion. He's entitled to do that because he took the gamble to buy them at 5 cents and 1 cent and 2 cents, whatever it was. It's his entirely his decision. And sending those tokens to an exchange to then sell them doesn't necessarily mean... Okay, let read this sentence. The move followed claims that Sun used exchanges to sell tokens and drive down prices during the launch. Now, if I airdrop you 1,000 dupe, all of you get 1,000 dupe, and the token is at $5. So you've all got $5,000 from nothing. Or maybe you gave me $50 a year ago, okay? I guarantee half of you would sell those tokens. You would. Because I would tell you I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth $1.50, okay? So you get $5,000 off me. Half of you will sell. There's no difference other than the size of the number between you and Justin Sun. So in this instance, I think Justin Sun has been unfairly targeted. Now that's the facts. The rumour is totally different, and I have to be very careful what I say about the rumour because, of course, we are streaming on an exchange, and I am not going to say anything unfounded about somebody on an exchange. But the rumour is something totally different. But they froze him. I totally disagree with that. It opened at 20 cents, giving it a value of $1 billion. 6.8% of the supply entered circulation. Between community and marketing allocations, he's got 3% of the supply. The selling pressure did not match the community activity. Some suggested that large wallets were behind the steady decline. Investigators said one of the wallets tied to Sun was moving funds across Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. The address was seen borrowing stablecoins, shifting assets back and forth, and then selling. The repeated moves drew attention from analysts who believed it contributed to the fall in the price. The price was always going to do one of two things. It was going to moon, or it was going to crash. And that's what's going to happen. And it was going to moon or crash based on, very simply, how big were the diamond hands that held the token. Now, you had Crypto and a few others coming out saying that they were just going to sell their tokens on day one. And he had 5 million tokens, whatever it might be. So it was a 50-50 gamble. I said, wait to see what the market does. It dumped. I've got 10 to 11 cents for my price target for World Liberty Finance. If we go 12, 13 cents, let's say the markets go south this week, and let's say Bitcoin gets absolutely shafted by CPI and comes to 96,000. World Liberty Financial will be at 10 or 11 cents, and then I'm going to buy it. Now, let's say the market's going the opposite direction, and Bitcoin goes back up to 118,000, World Liberty Finance goes to 35 cents. I'm not going to buy it. It's simple. I've got a price that I want to buy that token at, and that's it. Now, here's something for you. If I buy at 10 cents and it goes to $1, I've 10x'd. If I buy at 35 cents and it goes to $1, I've 3x'd. That's a big difference in return. That's like turning $100 into $1,000 or $100 into $300. So Everybody is out there saying, well, if you've got conviction in it, buy it. Fine. But I'd rather have 1,000% rather than a 300% return. And if I miss it, so be it. I don't have any attachment to that project whatsoever. I just think it's a good play, given that the Orange Man is in charge for the next 3.5 years. And tokenomics go out the window. Price action. If it comes down to 10 or 11 cents and it goes to 9 cents, I will buy more. But it's not going to go to zero. They are going to have his entire family shilling that token to all and sundry. And I guarantee you this now, it is going to be part of treasuries and it's going to be part, probably, of strategic reserves. It's going to happen. They're going to sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Solana, maybe XRP, and then World Liberty Financial will get 5%. And that token is going to be at $1, $2, $3. Fine. But I'm not buying it until we get to the price I want it at. And if we don't get there, tough. I don't care. Right then. I don't think you can have insider trading, really, on World Liberty Financial. I don't think that's a fair thing to say. He does own an exchange, absolutely. And that exchange will have been given probably an allocation, a seed amount. Yes. And the rumours are different to the facts. And I can't say what the rumours are about the price manipulation. But if the rumours are correct, World Liberty Financial were right. But if the facts are correct, World Liberty Financial are wrong. And that's the way to look at it. You can't go around casting aspersions on people because you don't like them. I said at the start of that, I don't like him. He put me off bananas for 18 months. Now I'm back eating bananas. Okay, I've seen counsellors, and I'm back to eating bananas. Right then, it's 12 o'clock. He deserves to be frozen because he dumps on retail on various exchanges. Well, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But that isn't the reason. You can't do that. Basically, there are laws in America to protect investors and protect companies and to protect everybody, basically, the market. If you start going around freezing people because he said, she said, that's not a foundation for a financial market. And if crypto wants to be taken seriously, you can't go around freezing people's assets. You have to have real, verifiable evidence. And if you don't, and you do it, then Justin Sun has every right to sue them. And that's just the facts. You have to go off facts. As I said, I don't like him, okay? I don't like Virgil van Dijk, but he's an amazing centre-half. I didn't like Luis Suarez, but he's a great striker. You have to hold your hands up. He's not in the wrong, unless the rumours are true. Right then, we're not going to go on. It's 12:01. The next two articles... Actually, no, we are. We're going to go on for one more. We're going to skip this, because this is an interesting one. This is the ADA XRP article. And I think you guys, before we begin, and let's see how many of you are awake, because by now, I think KB has fallen asleep on his bottle of ouzo that he's brought back from Portugal. I think Villain Bear is eating honey, so he's got mucky mitts. Danny's probably tweeting somewhere. Kishan's asleep. I know you're all not there. Before I read this article, type ADA or XRP in chat. Which one would you buy today to get the biggest return? Would you buy ADA at 80 cents or XRP at $2.90? Which one is going to get you the biggest return? I know what I think before I read this article. So type ADA or XRP in chat. Let's see how many of you are actually awake. 2 of you. Well, that's a good start. That is a good start. At least there's 2 people listening. And at least we have a difference of opinion. Oh, KB's gone with XRP. Right then. XRP ADA, AI, not me, AI predicts the bigger winner for 2025. Now, this is fairly lengthy. We're not going to go through it all. I don't want to bore you. I'm not here. If you want somebody to read articles to you, go and get Grok, something. The most utilized AI solution speculates on which of the 2 highly popular altcoins will post. We're not going to miss that bit off, right? Why is this screen narrowed to the point where I can barely get it to fit? So both assets are sitting in the top 10. XRP, obviously, was sitting between 40 and 60 cents. ADA was actually lower than 30 to 50 cents. Both of these tokens were questioned when they were in my portfolio. And I haven't changed in I keep saying 2.5 years. It's actually 3 years. June 2022, we started this ridiculous crusade to try and be honest. 3 years ago. And look how far we've got in 3 years. If I'd have walked backwards on my knees, I'd have probably finished a marathon by now. And that would have been faster. XRP versus ADA. All changed once Donald Trump came into power. XRP absolutely smashed the back doors in of $1 and $2, got to $3. Even got to $3.65 in July. ADA did the same thing, got up as... What did ADA get to? $1 and $40, $1.20, something like that. I remember when ADA broke $1. Crypto Crow, by the way, who is this 6'7" ex-MMA monster of a man, who's about the same age as me, better looking than me, but same age as me, I think. Maybe a little bit younger, actually. He was crying on his stream because he'd made so much money. Because I think he was buying ADA at a cent. He was absolutely minted at $1.20. But he obviously got caught up in the FOMO, thinking it was going to go to $5 and $10. And what happens when you think it goes up? It comes back down. So both have got very big communities. XRP have won the court case as well. That's a positive for XRP. The XRP case, Ripple will continue to benefit from the clarity in the US. Cross-border payment solution. It's going to have its own stablecoin as well. There's a few risks. 365 could be the yearly ceiling. It's failed to hold above $3. Don't know about that. ADA. Not got the XRP ETF on its case. The application might pass for Grayscale, but not many people are applying for an ETF for ADA. Cardano continues to have a robust development ecosystem, also faces its share of risks. Conclusion. XRP, stronger for stability and institutional adoption, realistic upside of $5 to $7. You know what's absolutely incredible about that price target, $5 to $7? I made a video 2 years ago giving you a price target for XRP of $5 to $7. 2 years ago I said that. 2 years ago. And now the world's mightiest AI bot is agreeing to me. All you had to do was listen to me 2 years ago. I'd have told you. You'd have laughed at me back then, but you're not laughing now, are you? Higher percentage gain potential, absolutely. Especially if ETF momentum continues upside 2 to 3x from here. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. Actually, no, we're going to read the chat first. And we'll see what you guys think. And then we will give you my opinion. Because why not? Let's just wait 1 second. I need to... Hang on. There we go. I don't like having the feathering thing. Right. So, ADA, XRP. Simon watches the Chronos Pulse. Cardano, Maxi, ADA. Right, okay. Here's my 2 pennies worth. Right. XRP with an ETF, $10. So for argument's sake, we're going to call that a 4x from here. $10 max case for me. ADA's at 80 cents. And the ETF isn't the news for me. The news for me is whether they can set up the Bitcoin sidechain or the Bitcoin layer 2 or whatever they want to call it. That's the key for me. If they don't do that, it will get to $2 to $3. That is a 2.5 to 3.5x. So based on probability, we know we're going to get the XRP ETF, and we know it's going to add at least a 3x from here. $7, $8. Cardano will get to $2.50 to $3. So I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to say Cardano will will win if this Bitcoin project works. If the Bitcoin project is delayed, because this is till the end of this year, then XRP will win. And again, if I had to put my hat on one thing, facts, Facts are XRP are going to win this. But potential, Cardano. Because Cardano, I think, is undervalued right now. And I think XRP has seen a lot of the pump. To get to 365, when my target is $5 to $7, is almost 70% of the way there. And I think my target for Cardano, I think it was $3 to $5. So we didn't even get halfway towards my target. So I'm going to go XRP with the facts, ADA with the rumours. And everybody else is in chat is saying ADA's pretty much won this competition. I'm very impressed. Anyway, it's 12:09. We've way overrun. Thank you all for watching. I think we got 11 likes in the end. That's not bad. That's not bad. Thank you all for the likes. In fact, if I do this, you will see. I should have. Where's my head gone? It's working better. Anyway, I know. It's this one. I've got my ghost back here. Anyway, right. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you all for tuning in. There is going to be a quiz this week. I don't know when it's going to be. I need to get the UI and the questions written. And believe it or not, it takes about 4 hours to get a quiz ready. And that's pretty much the rest of my day gone. So it's not a quick thing to do. And I manage it when I'm well. And when I'm not well, everything goes out the window. Everything absolutely wets the bed. So thank you all for tuning in. You're all brilliant. And thank you all for coming back. I'm sorry I was away for so long, but I was just poorly. So take care, and I will see you all tomorrow. And I will try and do a Chronos Pulse next weekend because Simon's been shouting at me. Take care. Bye-bye.